All right, let's get into this. So this is a bit of a problem that I've been having with this campaign, and let's just start on Ballotpedia here. All right. So you look at the amount of money raised, amount of money spent, right? Here's the problem. This doesn't make sense because this is an R+8 district, and realistically speaking, Paul has no chance of winning when no matter how much he raises, Brad's going to outraise him, and the district's been gerrymandered in Brad's favor. So what is he doing? The problem that this poses is that it's a subversion of the will of the voters. You guys are not getting an equitable representation of what your choices are at the ballot box. And this amount of money right here is why. So, the news that I've been getting in lately is that Paul's racking in all of these endorsements. And every single time that I hear about this stuff, I'm thinking, what the hell are they doing? Why are they endorsing him? Why do they care? This is an uncompetitive race, and they're endorsing a Democrat in the primary. This is not matter of course. This is not like, well, he XYZ won the primary, and so, we just endorse him because he's in our party. Everybody does that. What's going on here? Why do they pick? Now, I want to make an example here out of the News and Observer, one of the more noteworthy endorsements that Paul got. So, I'm looking into this. Now, I already kind of knew it was BS, but I'm like, you know what? Just for the sake of argument here, let's look in and see what they actually say. And I'm looking at this. They got an N&O endorsement. And just for perspective, N&O does this for all the primaries. And it's not like they singled out this district or anything. But it's still, and you're about to see why. N&O endorsement, our choice in the primary, and the distorted art of blah, 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 blah. What is District 3? Three Democrats. Who's Frank Pierce? What is Frank Pierce? Who's Alexander? What is Alexander? If Democrats were to describe the ideal candidate to take on a freshman Republican incumbent in a red district, it would be Paul Barringer. Okay, that's a statement. Why? Well, next paragraph is his biography. How old is he? Where is he from? The second thing is just a quote from his own platform. I couldn't take the news that he always talks. Next paragraph is literally entirely a quote from him. The paragraph after that is his platform, worries about blah, 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 and all the that he's already said. And then the next sentence, or next paragraph, is his main goal would be to get Congress back to Congress. Doesn't that sound meaningful? Doesn't that sound like what you wanted? Isn't Congress not Congress? Oh my God. And then the next thing is just, the whole paragraph is another couple of quotes. And then at the end here, it says Pierce is running an admirable grassroots campaign. Nikolai's pointing towards a serious problem with what he calls the tech mafia. That's very disingenuous of them, by the way. They're phrasing that as if I invented the term. Really of them. This kind of editorializing is terrible. But here at the end, it says, Barringer combines progressive views with rural roots that may appeal to many in the district. We recommend Paul Barringer. And that's it. They don't explain their reason. They don't say, well, why? Why Paul Barringer? What made you like him more? Here's the crazy thing to me that really made me flip my lid, is that they actually say more about Pierce and I than they say about Paul. They compliment Pierce and say, admirable grassroots. Nikolai's pointing towards a serious problem. Barringer combines progressive views. In other words, we like his platform, but we're not saying that. We're not saying we like it. We're just acting like it's objectively better. This is a rhetorical device. It's a way that people lie and sophistry. And then they say it combines with rural roots that may appeal to many. That's may appeal. They don't even want to commit to the fact that they think it will appeal. They're not even saying that it will appeal. They're guarded. They don't even believe in this guy. So why are they endorsing him? Why? And then, I'm also hearing that U.S. House Rep, I don't know who, it doesn't matter, is endorsing him as well, and another state rep, and all these other people. And I'm just looking at this, and I'm just like, this is corruption. Look at the money. Look at the money. And realize here what the situation is. Paul's seeing these little bits of videos here, and he's hearing the news a little bit. through the grapevine about the outreach that I've been doing, because I'm as progressive-minded, whatever that he's claiming to be as well. He's just hijacked the same kind of font, and he's acting like that he's somebody like me. But there's just one problem. I'm here, and I'm the real deal. I actually know what I'm talking about. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you know that too. So he has to make up for that somehow. He has to make up for the fact that if Paul doesn't have any opposition, he can win. But if he has opposition, he loses, because at the end of the day, he doesn't have any substance. So how does he do that? Well, he just wants to basically overwhelm the margin. And that's the corrupt methods that all the establishment incumbent candidates do in order to maintain their position. But here's where this gets really dark. Paul's not an incumbent establishment candidate. He has no political career. He's literally never run for office before. And Frank's mentioned 1,000 times already that this guy's a former Republican from Chevy Chase, Maryland. Spent his whole career in the Beltway, helping make Medicaid suck for you guys. What is he doing down here, and why in the hell is he able to pull all these political favors when ostensibly he's as much of a greenhorn as I am? How does that make any sense? Why do they want to support this guy? I'll tell you why. It's a quid pro quo. That's the simple reality of what's going on here, is that these people see the dollar signs, cha-ching, cha-ching. That means that their bosses are paying him, and that therefore they're on the same team. And so if they pull him a favor, if they do him a solid and say, hey, I'll endorse you, I'll trade favors, and then, you owe me one down the road, right? We're friends, right? Well, yeah, we work together. And all the meanwhile, the people, right? That's what's happening. Is your vote front and center with this kind of situation? Is your vote front and center when you've got, former House Rep Mick, whoever the fuck, I don't even know, is telling you that they endorse Paul? Are you finding out what the platforms are? Are you doing your research? I know that the minority of dedicated Democrats are, but what about the general public? They're having the deck stacked against them with this. With all these phony endorsements from other people who have lots of money, and they think they own this Republican Democratic process that we have. And you guys are not being given a level. You're not getting, the candidates are not getting a fair fight. So you're not getting a fair choice. If I don't have a level playing field to reach you with just because Paul Barringer can raise $600,000 and that just makes him automatically better for no reason, then you guys don't have an equitable republic. You don't. Because you don't have the ability to make an informed decision when you vote in the ballot box. That's the problem. And that's the same problem that I've been talking about and wanting to agitate against in the general election, which I may or may not even get the chance to do. We'll see. This is the problem with the tech mafia. This is the problem with, the two-party system, or the uniparty as some people call it. Conveniently, you never see anybody actually running for office that wants to arrest those kinds of problems. I wonder why. Maybe because, for the most part, you either get in here because you've been anointed and you've been chosen, you've been sent, like Paul has. Paul has been deployed from D.C. to come in here and pretend that he's a local and pretend that he's a Democrat and pretend that he gives, when the reality is that he never says anything and his speeches are ridiculous. And he doesn't really say anything. There's no substance. You watch my videos, you'll see the substance, right? But are you going to watch the videos? That's the question. Are you going to be able to see them? Maybe. If you've seen them, you've seen them. But if you haven't seen them, you don't know what you're missing. And that's what Paul's counting on. Paul's counting on creating the appearance that he's the only serious candidate and that, why wouldn't you vote for him? He wants your vote out of ignorance. He wants you to be stupid. He needs you to be uninformed. And subverting your expectations by doing reputational laundering games is exactly the way to do that. It's a tried and true method. This is unacceptable. This is busting my ass, and it's busting all of your asses too. You think that this hurts me? It hurts you more because you have to live with that. My life, I carry on. I got to do whatever anybody's got to do to get by in this world. But you guys, most of all, will be paying for this stuff. You will be paying for his corruption. You'll be paying for the ignorance of the general public. As Microsoft comes into Person County and says, we're just going to build a data center. How do you like that? You can thank people like Paul Barringer, mark my words. He will not be tearing into that. Never in a million freaking years. I guarantee you. He's going up there to get more of those kinds of things and get in on the graft and join the revolving door of the Beltway that he already worked in as an attorney for decades. You guys got to send this stuff out. I'm counting on you. You're counting on you. Let's fix this. We have a chance here.